Remember that the real meaning of MAGA is making attorneys get attorneys. One such lawyer is John Eastman. This is the evil genius, as some are describing him, who came up with this memo suggesting, hey, I don't know, maybe Mike Pence just kind of like rejects the whole 2020 election results and creates a constitutional crisis. I don't know. That guy, John Eastman, Trump's former lawyer, has been indicted in Georgia. He was interviewed last night by Fox News' Laura Ingraham, and it is bonkers stuff. I really wonder whether Eastman's lawyer signed off on this interview. I can't imagine that he did, because it seems like a disastrous idea. And as we know, these interviews can and seemingly will be made part of the evidence that is presented at trial. Here is Eastman arguing, we didn't do anything wrong. There was fraud as far as we believed it, and we were challenging the results. That is it. Which, for a lawyer to make this argument, given that that's not why he got indicted, really is something else. Let's take a look at this. And again, I can only imagine Eastman's lawyer is not thrilled with this.
Why did you decide to speak out tonight, knowing that anything you say to the media or to this program could then be potentially used against you?
Well, Laura, first, thanks for having me on. Look, I've been speaking out all along. We did nothing wrong. We were challenging the election for what even Vice President Pence described as serious allegations of fraud and numerous instances of officials violating state law.
Now, remember, this is not a defense of Pence. But saying that Pence acknowledged there were serious allegations of fraud, that's true. There were people saying the fraud is so serious that Biden didn't really win, Trump won, and it's been stolen. Just because someone makes a serious allegation doesn't make your allegedly criminal actions any more legal. And again, he is not, and Trump has not been indicted because they believed it was stolen and they were asking for redress of those grievances. They are being indicted because of their actual fraudulent conspiracy to disenfranchise those who voted for Joe Biden in Georgia, including fake fraudulent electors, strong-arming public officials, and other crimes. He is issuing a defense, which is not actually why he has been charged. On Fox News, maybe it gets you somewhere. In court, it's not going to.
And if we can't speak out about that, then our freedom of speech, our right to petition the government for redress of grievances are gone.
Lie.
But also importantly, I'm an attorney, and the people that I was representing had a right to counsel. And what's going on here with the bar complaints against...
Okay, let's address that. This is another argument that they're putting forward. These are lawyers. Are you saying by indicting them that Trump didn't have a right to counsel and for Eastman to give him the memo telling him, here's what I think you should do? And of course, this goes out the window. The crime fraud conspiracy makes it so that attorney-client privilege, if the lawyer is participating in the conspiracy to commit a crime, then attorney-client privilege goes out the window. Secondly, it is believed that Eastman knew what he was suggesting Pence and others do was not legal. That's a problem. So they're again going after the lawyers. This also is not going to fly in court.
Everybody involved in any of the litigation, this Fulton County complaint, the unindicted co-conspirators in the federal action, they're trying to stifle people from being able to get representation in election challenges.
Wrong.
They've made that very clear that that's what they're up to, and we can't allow it to happen. Okay.
So these are not arguments that are going to get them very far in court. Now, here's one other clip I want to look at. Look, this one is almost Kafkaesque. Apologies for using that phrase again. Laura Ingraham says, it's almost like they think you knew this entire plan was phony and it was just a plan to overturn the election and you knew that it was phony and it wasn't legal. And Eastman just says, I challenge them to find an email that supports that, to which I think investigators are saying, we're going to try.
12th Amendment, that the founders specifically designed it that way so that the president wouldn't owe his job to Congress. It's a core separation of powers principle that the founders adopted, and he just doesn't, he ignores that in his analysis. So the notion that this is well settled is crazy.
On the RICO side of the Fulton County case, that would require findings of bad faith on the part of, all the co-defendants that were engaged in this RICO conspiracy, according to this Fannie Willis. So on that score, John, that would have to be you all basically agreeing, implicitly, explicitly, that y'all knew that this was all phony, and that your effort, your decision amongst yourselves was to advance a plan to overturn the election.
Right.
And to that you say?
Well, they've got all the evidence. They've got all my emails. My phone was seized over a year ago, so they've got all that stuff as well. And I challenge them to find a single email or communication that supports that implausible theory.
Well, I think challenge accepted by investigators, but it seems to me when I hear Eastman say that their conversations about this were heavily restricted to in-person conversations. Certainly might make it more difficult to prove, but he's actually helping the investigation. Disastrous interview, and even lawyers are now making arguments in their defense that aren't valid legal arguments as defenses to the charges that are on the indictment. That's an important element here. The stuff they're saying, maybe they count as defenses to other hypothetical charges that have not actually been made. But to what's actually in the indictment, these are not valid legal arguments. We'll see what they make in court.